haven't you heard? For the thrill, yeah, he's leading the way. Dynamo Dares ain't here to play. I knew his brother Dino holding it down, straight from old London town. Scottish Falcons and friends, you know how we get down. We got that die-hard mentality, frequent flyers family. Scotland, England, Mexico, stateside crew running the show. Falcons, Hawks, Dream, Brave, Georgia sports, that's all we know. And so much more. We loyal to the soil, we ride or die. Keep it here, keep it tilted, AFN.
Ladies and gentlemen, be you Clydeside, stateside or worldwide, brothers and sisters, it is time for you all to get Falcons set and rise up, because it's now time for episode 58. The AFNI are back in flight tonight. It's just the original Scottish Falcons duo to kick it off for you. So I, as always, am your brother from another mother, Will the Thrill, and I speak too soon, because on my left is my co-host with the most, the original Scottish Falcon, Dynamo Des. How are you tonight, Des?
Yeah, good. It's Victory Monday. Come out of the weekend with a victory, which is great. It's obviously pre-season, which doesn't really make much an impact. But when it comes to the Falcons, a win's a win, no matter what.
100%, and it's a lot better position than we were in last week. Obviously, sadly, we were not able to get on and do the watch party, so for anyone watching, listening, who was waiting for that, we do apologise. Tech was not for letting us have nice things, but we are back nonetheless to kind of break it down, gloat just a little bit, break all down some of the improvements that have been made, and all that good stuff as well. And as I say, the power trio is back together, because we are joined by South London's finest, the Thames Valley Terror. Dino, how are you, brother? Good to have you back.
I'm not that close to Thames Valley, but yeah. So I'm right in the depths of South London. Right?
Everything's got to be to do with a river for me. I don't know. It's
Aye, Clydeside, Thames side, yeah, that's it.
Oh, but in my defence, I mean, you guys seem to like it, so we keep rolling with what we know. But as I say, we've got a lot of good talk to get into tonight. As Des opened up and said, it's Victory Monday, so we will be breaking down the game, all the good improvements that we saw from our Falcons. But first of all, we do have to fly off into roster news, because we have had a couple of big things. And as I say, because there has been a slight delay, this is our first time getting the chance to talk about it. So the first thing I'd like to put to you boys is obviously the defensive edge signing. We wanted to shore up, obviously, given the ban being in place on James Pearce Jr., also the Jalen Walker injury as well. So with that all being said, we've shored down. I know the age is going to put off some people, but we've brought in 34-year-old, three-time Pro Bowler, a little bit of a journeyman. He's been around the league for a moment, playing for Minnesota, Philadelphia most recently. Then you've got Cleveland as well, and as well as a stay in Detroit. But I will flash up these stats for you as well, because regardless of what's been said, across the 5 teams and across the 10 years that he's played in the league, he's amassed 70.5 career sacks. So definitely still a threat, as a veteran presence, as a mentor as well coming in, and then as I say, a proven pass rusher to add in where obviously we have been lacking a little bit, is getting after the quarterback in these first 2 games. So I'll pass it to you, Des, and give you the floor. Now that I've given you a little bit of a kind of breakdown, how do you feel about bringing in Zadarius Smith just to obviously shore up on depth and make sure that we're okay and that we've got some old heads in there to make sure things are ticking over?
Well, it's an experienced depth piece. That's the main thing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, so you can't have any issues with that. Obviously, his age, he is slowing down, but again, it's not as if we're signing this guy to be our main guy. He is a depth piece, and again, any experience that you can get, there is quite a lot of young defensive end players in there that need a wee bit of veteran presence. So again, to be honest, we'll go into it with the preseason game that we've just come off of, but I don't think there's anything that I've seen so far that I question Ian Cunningham on. Probably the Bergeron contract and how big it was, but to be honest, he seems to. You can see that he's maybe he is starting to. You're starting to see he's got the eye. So again, it's for me. It's all about bringing in experience, a veteran around the younger players, and whatever he does, even if he gets 2 sacks or 3 sacks this year, whatever time he's going to play, then it's still a benefit. I think he's on a vet minimum anyway, or I think it's a smaller contract. Is it 4 or 5 million or something?
Yeah, I think
It,
it's
it is a
I
1 year
read
deal.
it's somewhere in the 4-1, but yeah, it's only a 1 year deal, so we know
Yeah.
it's kind of we know exactly what we're getting here. But in terms of the guys who were 1 year stopgaps, I mean, I think we got him considerably cheaper than we'd get like someone like a Joey Bosa or like what the Cowboys, from what I hear, are paying Von Miller as well. That's going to be a bit more than we were willing to pay. So as you say, I mean, it's something we've said a few times during this off-season process, Des, but I mean, it's value versus how much are you actually paying, and it seems like a good value pick. So yeah, I mean, again, to agree with you as well, I trust Ian Cunningham so far. He's not led me astray. So until he does, I'm going to continue on that ethos as well. And Dino, the floor is yours, sir. How are you feeling about the Zadarius Smith
I,
signing?
I,
Do
I,
you think
I
he's got
think,
a little left in the tank? Or?
yeah, I think it was needed. I mean, with everything that's happened on the D line as well, you know, to see those boys go out and for various reasons, you know, one with the allegations or the everything like that and the suspension, and the other one with an injury. It's a killer blow when you're especially in off season, you come into preseason and you get an injury like that, and it happens so often. It's becoming such a common thing now where players are going out of ACLs all of a sudden now. So it's a bit of a blow, or it's a huge blow because it makes you think of how he's going to be for next season. But to bring Zariah Smith in now, is a good thing. He fills in the hole. It brings an experience. As Des said, you know, he's getting on a bit. Yeah, he's what is he, 33, 34 years of age now. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I think he
you
turned
lose that little bit of a
34.
step, but
Pretty
you know,
coming up.
yeah. I mean, I think he's the type of he's like a leader. You can say that he's a leader. He's got the experience. He brings it in. Like I said, fills the hole in. I think it was very much needed. And I like the fact that they addressed it quickly, and not just sat back and thought, okay, let's go, let's see if we can get a Bosa, because you know the names that Bosa, I think, just was always lurking about a couple of weeks ago. But they've actually just looked and just said, you know what, let's just address this now. No BSing now, no messing around. Let's just get this over. And I think it's a good addition as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think with the amount of finessing you're seeing with some of the guys, or will I retire, won't I retire, and then the vernacular and the social media obviously being to the positive with things like Von Miller saying I can roll out of bed and get 8 sacks. Like, I mean, fair play. You want to go get yourself a job, go get yourself a job. I'm not going to fault that. But with that being said, I feel like the Falcons knew the position that we were in. We knew kind of what we wanted to do, and who we wanted to get to kind of shore up what we were doing here. So yeah, I mean, as I say, on essentially a smaller contract, 1 year deal, you really can't fault it again. And that brings us over to obviously the next and probably the biggest piece of roster news, which is to do with the injury in regards to Michael Penix Jr. Or QB1, at least we say right now. So as per friend of the channel, Daniel Flick, who announced it, Michael Penix has been cleared from the torn ACL injury that he was rehabbing. So I'm going to take the chance to pop this up now for you boys, because it's something that we can talk about a little later on in the show. But this could just be, after the game we've seen, your QB 1 and 2 going into the season. But we're going to talk about that. But with that being said, as I say, there's a lot to kind of talk about. Obviously now the air's ready for 11 on 11. But before we get into who the QB2 is, let's talk about QB1. So, as per what I've said before on the show, as you guys know, reticent to put him in too early. I don't want to throw him to the wolves, as it were, before we've shored up that offensive line. With that being said, the offensive line play is something I wanted to highlight later on when I'm doing my key takeaways, is that was far more consistent, vastly improved as to what we saw against Denver in week 1. So with that being said, I feel like, yeah, we're in a better position now to where they feel the confidence to say that Mike's clear to at least try some 11 on 11, and I feel like the practices this week are going to ascertain whether or not he's going to see any action in Miami. But that I feel like that is the big question, given that Coach Stefanski did state categorically that we will see starters in Game 3. How much and how many of those commodities are going to be seen remains to be seen. But what I ask you guys, and again I'll start with you, Des, do you think we're going to see Mike Penix suit up to play the Dolphins on Saturday night? Because as I say, a lot could happen. You know the quality of their field as well, so it's an injury risk and things of that nature. So with all that being said, how do you feel? Are you putting him out there, or how do you feel?
Again, I'm going back to the discussion between the two head coaches. That's what, because from my point of view, if it's the ones and the ones against each other, then I would take a chance, but I'm not putting Michael Penix Jr. behind the twos and the threes as part of a pre-season game. Absolutely not. I think you're starting to see that the Atlanta Falcons have been really, really careful with Michael Penix Jr. I've always said that there's no benefit to the Atlanta Falcons with Tua starting QB1, which he probably will, and then going all through the season and actually playing really well. It's effectively between a rock and a hard place situation, because if you end the season with Tua as your QB1, then he's going to look for his $50 million a year contract again. And if he has played really well, there's going to be a lot of vultures in the NFL circling to snap him up. And you don't want to be in a position where you get into effectively an auction trying to decide who's going to pay the most money to get your, effectively was your QB1. So it's beneficial if, Tua, I think he'll start, but I would say that if you look, Michael Penix Jr. started 11 on 11 today. So again, it's down to how he's going to feel after today, after this week. I'm pretty sure he's saying to Stefanski, I want to play in the pre-season. I would say if you don't, again, this will be an early scene of who's going to be QB1. If they decide that they're going to put Michael Penix in for maybe a couple of drives, then there's a good chance they're pushing him towards being QB1 at the start of the season. But if he's not playing this game, there's no chance in hell that they're then going to put him straight out in game 1 as a QB1. Again, from my point of view, I would love to see him out there, but if the coaches staff are looking at him and saying, we really believe he's got something, that he could be our future franchise quarterback, bearing in mind we've got Matt Ryan standing on the sideline every day watching these QBs, and he'll be having his input. There's nobody better at seeing the development of quarterbacks than Matt Ryan. He'll be putting his bit in. And if they believe that this is the future of the Atlanta Falcons, then 1 or 2 games, hold them out. Let's take our time. You know what I mean? We all seen what happened with Kirk Cousins at the start of last season when we rushed him back. The start of the couple of years ago when he rushed himself back from an Achilles injury. You know what I mean? He literally get one bad hit and that was him. He just effectively fell away. And again, what people don't understand is it's not a confidence thing with Michael Penix Jr. what he's
Mhm.
at, he's in a position where he can't trust his body just now. He doesn't
Yep.
know what his body can take hit wise. So it's
Yep.
not so much the confidence in his mind and his decision makings or anything like that. It's the confidence in what can his body take. So if you're at that
Yeah.
point, let take it easy, guys. You know what I mean? One or
Yeah.
two seasons. I've always said the benefit of this year is the fact that we've got a new coaching staff that aren't under
Yep.
the cosh. If we were in a
Mhm.
position where we come into this season with Raheem Morris still as the head coach, then
Mhm.
then jobs are at risk and they're making decisions based on what's going to save their job. I don't think
Yeah, but the
Stefanski's at that
antitithesis to
position.
that being said as well, Des, we everything that you've said and some great points again, I would say that it does, especially to me, and you can say I'm paranoid if you want to, is some of the fallout from the Cam Newton, Michael Penix interview as well, because that gave me a lot of thought as to what is mind and what is muscle. As well. And I just want to take a second while we've got the first comment of the night to shout out Meg, someone who we have been in contact about, obviously coming on the show before. And I know it's someone who's no stranger to you either, Dino. Because as I say, we're all proud to fly the flag both for the Falcons and the Union Jack or the Saltire, or the St George's Cross down south if you're that way inclined as well. But by that I just mean that obviously we want to keep the ethos that we started out with of Clydeside, stateside, and worldwide, true to our heart. As we go forward and grow things into season two, so we appreciate all the fans and the creators that show us love. And as I say, I know that you're going to be busy this season too. But if you do want to join us for a show, as I say, the links are forthcoming. So just drop us a DM and we can get you on. At the meantime, we really appreciate your comment as well. But to roll on with what we were talking about, Dino, how do you feel right now, confidence wise, in Michael Penix? Do you think it's going to be a situation where we are in the wait and see tribe, to quote a little bit of Scrubs, where we're going to kind of see where he's at through his training this week on 11 on 11, full speed, kitted, all that good stuff? Or do you think we're better served by utilising Tua while we've got him, while he's cheap, and while we're not talking about him potentially starting next season? As I say, he came in of the ethos that he wanted to support Michael Penix, and I quote, in any way, shape, or form. So that leads me to agree with Des in saying that Mike is the QB1, especially obviously if he has some good performances in practice this week. But where are you at with it, Dean? You kind
I
of
have
in
to echo.
agreement with us on?
Yeah, I have to echo what Des said because when you consider the last few years with us as at quarterback position, if you name the quarterbacks that we've had, in the la- I look at the quarterbacks that we've had and I think to myself, wow, it's it just sticks. Well, I really do look it back at it and I think we had the likes of Kirk Cousins who got injured. We had Marcus Mariota. We had Desmond Ridder. We've been well and truly stuffed when it comes to quarterbacks since Matt Ryan's gone.
Mhm.
And deja vu kind of happened with me again with this situation. Tua comes in and he's not had the best of games, and now we're tentative with him. Now, coaching staff have now looked at, I think they've looked back on everything that's happened in the last few years and thought, you know what, let's take our time with this one, like you guys have just said, because the one thing you don't want to be doing is going into a physical, very, very physical game with a very, very strong Pittsburgh team and just saying, okay, Mike, go in there and let's see what you got. With that team,
Mhm.
not with not with Pittsburgh. So this game coming up, I think, yeah, if they're saying that he's ready for 11v11s, then okay, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do in practice this week. Again, it's the catch-22, like Des just said, and I think I picked up on it a little bit. If Two was to have the season of his life this season, he'd be asking for a big payday. But then my question would be: is if we're going to give that to him, what would have been the whole point in picking up Penix in the first place? Because of how, if you remember, because of how we had that pick, because we traded for it. if you remember.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and that's
even with that,
sorry.
it's like, okay, we really have we've really kind of messed ourselves up with the quarterback position. It's like we don't know what we're doing. But in this situation, I would say let's see what Tua can do. But I think Penix needs to be given a good fair share to see how he does this week. So then,
Yeah,
but then even then, they still have to make a choice for week one. But I would still go with. I would still go to. I don't know. My mind is. I would go with Tua because
mhm.
I'm only thinking of the injury because of his injury history.
Yeah,
Of all the news that he's had. Um, but I would still give him a fair share this season as well to see what he can do. He is young, a little bit younger, so I would probably see what Tua can do going into the season, and then at some point we're going to have to then pass the reins on, I think, um to Penix. A couple of people I know have actually said
yeah,
kind of said similar. Um, but right now it's like decision needs to be made, and then after seeing what I saw on Saturday, it's like you know it's a good game on Saturday, a good improvement from the week before. Um,
mhm.
but when I see Strand do what he can do, he looks so relaxed. I mean, I know it wasn't
Yeah,
the best of Colts teams, but he looks so relaxed inside the pocket. He looks so relaxed getting that ball out, and he's like looking to make a name for himself as well. So there's questions there to be asked in the quarterback position.
Well,
Um,
oh yeah.
what I would say with Jack Strand
Unfortunately,
is
that's
he's doing things that can't be coached.
mm,
He's doing
mhm.
things from natural ability. Um, for me, we're talking about Penix as well and Tua.
yeah,
There's one,
Mhm.
and what I'm going to say is there's one thing having ACL issues, but there's another thing having concussion issues. You know, what I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
it's literally night and day on severity, concussion, what it does
yeah.
to your brain and things like that.
I do.
yeah,
Um, and that's the biggest issue. I don't think now, looking at what you're seeing in practice and training and all that, that Tua has got the consistency anymore. I actually put a tweet out on X about effectively how jittery he was, and put the definition of
Yeah,
jittery. And literally, when you're looking at Tua in practice, bearing in mind this is practice, he looks very, very jittery. For a veteran QB, he looks very, very jittery. You then look at the preseason game against the Colts, and you look at Cooper Rush,
mm,
and again, Cooper Rush, there was no jitters there. There was no hesitancy. It was
mhm.
simple. It was flowing. It was easy for him. And then you look at Jack Strand, and Jack Strand, bearing in mind he came out of a D2 school, and
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to get everybody's hopes up, but there's natural ability there that effectively a top line quarterback has. And the one thing I would say is that the mainstream sports media have highlighted it as well. So it's not just Atlanta Falcons guys that are noticing it and commenting on it. Literally, the main sports media are actually commenting on it as well. His natural ability.
Mhm.
I mean, it was, bearing in mind that this literally he's only played just over half an hour in a game. It just looks so
Mhm.
natural. It looks so easy for him. It doesn't look fast.
Yeah,
Now, what I would say, well, indeed, the issue we've got is we don't know how good these teams are.
mm,
The Broncos, I
yeah,
believe the Broncos are going. They could probably make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but the Colts, you just don't know
yeah,
what good or bad at the moment, and
yeah,
that's the issue. But if you're looking at somebody that's walked in, any QB first pick would be jittery against in a preseason game, and he just there was none of that with Jack Strand.
mm.
again,
And
the
that's an
other,
absolutely amazing point as well, because again, to throw in, not, I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate to all your points tonight, but no, just to kind of bear in mind as well, you think about the fact that if Tua does play in Miami, you have the obviously the hate that's going to be coming onto him and all that stuff. So ideally, I want to see Tua get at least a good portion of maybe the first quarter. So because I'm viewing this as a sink or swim for him. You're going home back to Miami, unfair crowd. Let's see how you do. Sink or swim, because as you've said, Cooper Rush has upped his consistency level. Jack Strand was playing on a Josh Allen level. The arm was there, the natural ability was there, the decision making was there, the ability to take off and not be afraid of a hit was there. All the fundamental things that you want in a high level NFL quarterback were there. As I say, I'm not ready. As you said, Des, I'm not ready to throw all my eggs in that basket yet. Because as Dean rightfully said a little bit earlier on in the show, you don't want to throw all your eggs in that basket and abandon what we've spent the last 3 years investing in Mike Penix either. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good things coming out of the game, and I think it's kind of time once we let you have your next say, Dean, to get into the game in full, because I've got the stat sheet for Jack Strand, and it's something that does make for good reading. But yeah, as I say, with that being said, I think it's going to come down to, yeah, I don't want to see all four, but I think there is a possibility where you could realistically put a one QB per quarter, because Cooper Rush is upped it, because you want to see Tua tested, and then obviously Strand and Penix being what Strand and Penix are going to be. But I don't want to risk any of those men re-aggravating or getting hurt. So at the same time, it allows you to then keep down the amount of time that you're keeping anyone out there as well, with the field in Miami, and with the fact that even though they're going to be seen as a rebuilding team, and another one that's going to be, yeah, maybe disrespected in terms of a measuring stick, like Des said about Indianapolis. We don't know where Miami is going to be this year, especially losing guys like Jalen Waddle, and things of that nature as well. So, Dean, what's your thoughts on all that? I mean, do you think it would be fair to say that we're going to see at least three of these guys, or yeah, play? Because I think that the best bet is to try and keep rotation going, but at the same time, you could come back and say that no, we need to find the guy. So I guess I'm just kind of throwing a few ideas at you, but I mean, where would you land on that one?
Think, mm, yeah, I mean, if you got four quarterbacks, play one. It'd be great if you could play one quarterback per. That should be quite
Yeah,
interesting. I've never
I'll
seen a
be
team do
honest,
that before. I've never seen a team do that before. But you know, you trade players in and out all the time, so when they get tired, so you never know. But um, no, I think we're gonna have to go with one. You know, like they said as well. I mean, you know, they're gonna have to make a decision. I think. Um, I mean, I think if you look at it, even if one does go down, at least we can then say, okay, well, we've seen what the others can do in preseason. We know what's capable. But I mean, the one thing I'll say is that Strand has made a mark to say, look, I'm here. We've got this situation where you're saying either two or pennies, but he's come along and added a little bit of an X factor here and just said, well, hello, I'm here. You saw that thing, you know. So he's putting himself out there as well. So, you know, so it's a case where we've all played where all our teams have always said next man up whenever someone goes down. So in this situation, it is a case of just literally taking the ball by the horns. But I think they're going to have to. I think coaching staff will have to definitely make a decision in regards to who they think's best going forward. Not that again, when it comes to week one, not that, you know, not the ideal start. I'd rather us. I mean, if you told me that we were playing the Browns as an example, no disrespect to Cleveland at all, but if you're telling me that we're going to go and play Cleveland in week one, I'd be like, you know what, do what you have to do with it. But in this situation, I wouldn't necessarily throw pennies into that one. Again, because Pittsburgh can be a monster, and I know they're gonna. That certain linemen are going to really be on it, which I'm going to keep nameless. So I think maybe going with Tua, but like what Des just said, you know, when it comes to concussions. I mean, I'll never forget when Tua went down. I just saw him shaking on the ground. I thought, what the hell? What's you know, you know? But then saying that with ACLs, you know, with Penix, it's going to be a mental thing as well because of how many times he's gone down with it. So it is literally a catch-22. It literally is a rock and a hard place. I probably what even have my mind 100% made up until 10 minutes before they kick off. That's me being completely honest. I'll go into that Sunday thinking at 5:30 in the evening over here thinking, yeah, who are they going to go with? Is that going to be the correct decision? Are we going to put Strand in there? Are we going to give Penix a chance? It's I don't know. I've not seen this with any other team, and that's how bad it is. It's always Atlanta. It's always us. It's just
I'm going to tell you what I think personally what I would do, Dino. This preseason, I would put Penix. I would put Tua in, and I'd give him as much time as possible because
yeah.
effectively the first preseason game we seen very little of him, because it was a blink and you miss him.
Yeah.
So and I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to say we need to see what we've got in Tua. We need to see whether if Penix isn't going to be available for the start of the season, and the team doesn't think he's going to be ready, we need to see what Tua we're getting, and then again I'll be up front and say if Tua goes out there and he has an absolute nightmare in this preseason game, then there's a chance where we have to make a decision and say, is it a possibility that Cooper Rush starts the first game of the season? Because if Tua plays as bad as what he has been in practice and what he had done in the first wee bit of preseason, if that's who the two that we see in this preseason game, then we can't start the first game with him, the first main game with him against the Steelers. You know what I mean? We need to make a decision and just.
As well. I also put it to you guys as well that, I mean, look at the first 5 weeks of that schedule again. We've got 2 divisionals.
I was just going to say.
I mean, it's going to get tricky quick. If you're starting talking about whether Rush is going to be starting as well. So I feel like that's going to be a big factor in your decision. We're not just thinking about Miami in a lot of ways. We're also looking forward towards Pittsburgh and to Carolina, and to obviously I think it's the Saints we see on week 4 as well. We've got the Packers as well, who we know are no slouches either. So I mean it's going to be a test. The first 4 weeks of this season, it's really going to define the year to come. I think because as I say, a lot of it is going to be schematic, because we've had to show up in some places due to injury and things like that. But with that being said, I feel like we'll get a good feel for the season in these first 4 or 5 games. I just pray that we have consistency. Whoever proves to be QB1 when time ticks down and we do step out onto the field in Pittsburgh, I just hope we do have that guy. But that's all to look forward to, boys, because we should.
Sorry, guys, I've just had my son trying asking me what Gaviscon he wants him to buy, what he has to buy Gaviscon. So I've literally just had to message him and say, buy the dearest one. So
I'll tell you, we're based upon the Falcons, we're going to need a whole lot of Gaviscon. That's what we're going to need.
Yeah.
We're going to need a whole lot of Gaviscon this season, man.
That's how I say to him, buy the dearest one, buy the best one. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of
chest pains going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know, I mean, it's gonna be a hard one, but I think it'll be, you know, I'll go with I'll go with the coaching stuff because they're all brand spanking, so you know we have to see what they're gonna say, and I mean, at least in this situation, it's not Raheem in this situation because you know I know exactly how the season will go if it was Raheem Morrison. At least with this season, I can have some sense of optimism. But if it was Raheem Morrison again, I'd be thinking, you know what, let me just go into this season with no expectation whatsoever. Because if you've got a coach that still can't find a way after 8 weeks solid in a row, then what chance has that got for the rest of us? So with this coaching stuff, it's a clean slate and we
Yeah.
start over again. And that's why I actually like the fact that they've just said, you know what, enough of what's gone on. We're gonna do it our way, and we're just gonna direct away from what's happened in the last 3-4 years, which is what I like. So I'm hoping that they go into it with
Mhm.
we can go into it with a sense of optimism to say, okay, let's see what they've got. But you know,
Yeah. It's good to
I
have
say
that
that because of our
optimism.
division as
I mean,
well.
if you
So
followed the show,
we'll see.
yeah, they've been able to see that the vibe kind of fell off. I think at one point, Des and I did become resounded to the fact that when we had Zach Robinson, when we had Raheem Morris, that was not where we wanted the Falcons team to be. And as I say, we made no secret about that. You know, we will always cover the good, the bad, and the ugly for you, and that got pretty ugly at times. So it's good to hit the new season with some sense of optimism and something to look forward to, as you say,
I
Dino.
mean,
And I mean, the guys were quite good the other as well, and showing that as well, which we'll get into a while. Des, you wanted to say something, brother?
yeah, I think the biggest positive from that pre-season game just had at the weekend was the big difference in the play. It when you were going through pre-season with Raheem Morris, you were getting very average, very vanilla play. Now, I know Stefanski said that Tommy Rees was doing the play calling, and to be honest, if this is vanilla and he's play calling, then we're going to have some year. But I just think it was the changes that happened. There was more intensity. There was more. It seemed more rush. It seemed more. There was more determination. There was, and again the wee bit where Taylor Goodson scored the touchdown against his former team that let him go, and then they had the penalty. And again, Stefanski said that he would allow the team to have one penalty celebration, and that was it. Now I like that kind of thing. That shows a good management manager. Um, but what I would say is the difference between the performances from week one to week two, that's really a positive because that looks like a coaching staff that's looked at week one and said that's not acceptable. This is the way it has to be, and the players have took it on board. I think the other biggest positive as well is if you can get a D2 quarterback, a Division 2 quarterback playing like that in a preseason game, then that shows organisation. That shows that the play calling that they're learning is getting in and it's sticking in their brain. So it's not too complicated. So again, the coaching staff know what they've got and how to work with what they've got and trying not to complicate the matters too much, which again, Raheem Morris tried to be the guy. He wanted to be the guy that was doing what everybody else wouldn't do, and it was like a double bluff. Oh well, everybody will think I'll do this, so instead of doing that, I'll do this, and completely messed it up. So the biggest positive for me with this preseason game was the difference in the attitude of the players, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's a big positive.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
yeah,
So what I've got for it in terms of my notes, I'll kind of give it to you in a sort of summary form. But as we say, the Falcons truly soared on that one, 30-46 on the road against Indianapolis. I did say that I would start off with the quarterback position, so a big shout out to Jack Strand. 12 of 17 for 234 total yards, 212 through the air, and two touchdowns, one through the air and one on the ground as well. In addition to that, and as Des said a little bit earlier on in the show as well, you had a big time bounce back from Cooper Rush as well. And then in terms of switching switching positions but keeping things on the offensive front. I think if you look again at the returners and the newcomers on this offensive line as well, I feel like we finally showed some more of what we can be. When you're talking about guys like Cam Dewberry, James Brockermeyer as well, Corey Levin, guys like that really stepping up and showing, no, we deserve to be getting some recognition here as well. So big shout out to the offensive line.
Yep.
And then, of course, one of the hardest jobs of the pre-season is who do you put that green diamond on, as well, or who is that guy? Obviously, the coach has made the choice that it should be Kendall Daniels, and he's proved through his efficacy in that last game there that it was the right choice, because Kendall Daniels seems to be an absolute stud. So those are my takeaways. There are some things that are kind of giving me a little bit of pause for thought, not necessarily apprehension per se, but certainly some things that I need to be kind of tune on just a little bit as we go into the coming week, which we'll break down in a little bit. But Des, I know you'd said that obviously your keyword there was just obviously the increase in consistency and all that good stuff, and the players' attitudes changing, because that, as we say, and as we said on the last show as well, what we wanted to see going into this game was the guys really stepping up and saying, I'm here for my job and I will fight to make sure that you have your eyes on me at all points this pre-season. So it's nice to see a bit of fire under them. And then Dino, if you could, the floor is yours. Some of your key takeaways, some of the guys that you were happy to see ball out and things like that. Who
Jack Strands is mine, and the offensive line. It was the offense for me. Defense done what they had to do. I think we all know that. I like the fact that they responded. I like the fact they responded. I just like the fact that they just responded to it. That's what I like, and they had to, because that first game was just. It was very concerning. Like very concerned. Like it's like they didn't want to be there. It's like when you get to a point where I feel sometimes when I see the behavior of some players, like they feel that because they're wearing the uniform of an NFL team, they think that's enough, and it feels like sometimes I see some of these players with their behavior. I think just because you're in the uniform doesn't mean you're a guarantee, mate. You're not a starting player. And I really feel that some of them went into that game last week where it was like, just thinking that they could just walk into a team. I think that was a wake-up call. And I like the response. It's like when I see it in football as well, like, I see it all the time where a team gets whooped and they have to respond the next game because they don't want to go through that again. Because there'll be a lot of concerns. There's going to be a lot of things where I think they were probably looking at things from a coaching aspect. The coaches must have been thinking, maybe we should just cut all of them. But I guarantee they probably said some of that in the dressing room. But to come out in that game and do what they did was very good. Very, very good response. It showed that there is a sense of desire and hunger in that team, with the backups and the second string and first string. It shows that there is a hunger there. And I did like what I see. Like I said, the offensive line was brilliant. Strands, Cooper, they done what they had to do. We could sit, and some people will sit there and say, that the Colts, they probably were in a similar situation than us last week with how they played. But you can only beat what's in front of you. So, they showed what they can do. They showed there's potential there with all of them, and collectively, I think going forward, if we can do the same against Miami, we can then maybe go into week one with some of the players and look, okay, we know what you can do. We see the potential. Let's drive it forward. But I did like what I saw. It was a massive improvement. It was good to see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And as you say, it just makes it a little bit more tricky. And that's something that I will be talking about, obviously, as we get into the show as well, and putting to you boys, is the fact that it makes our choices as a coaching staff, as an organisation, a little bit tougher. And who's going to be making this 53, particularly as I'll single out the running back position, because that's getting a little bit interesting going forward. Just given the fact that 3 of those guys did get touchdowns, and I think that's something that I will kind of single out now. So obviously, in addition to Jack Strand's performance, we also have to take into account that Bijan is a lock. Brian Robinson is likely a lock too, as RB2. So you start thinking about things like who's your RB3 going to be. And I mean, shout out to all these guys, because we had a touchdown from Tyler Goodson, we had a touchdown from Nathan Carter the third, and we also got to see the first NFL touchdown for Mr. Cash Money himself, Cash Jones. So I loved that celebration too. That was pretty legit. So I think maybe he's earned a roster spot just purely based on how legit that celebration is. But it's I digress. I just mean it makes your choices, particularly in terms of running back, that much more difficult. So I could see a world, especially because of our lack of efficacy in special teams last season, that we could maybe be keeping 4 running backs, just given the fact that we could be using one in their abilities as a returner as well, because we did see some good returns in that last game as well, from Dylan Drummond, from Nate Carter as well. We saw Tyler Goodson run a couple of good ones back as well. So I mean, I feel like Goodson is the RB3 right now. He's effective in the return game as well. But guys, how do you feel about it? Des, I mean, do you favour Goodson as well right now, or are you leaning more towards a Carter or a Jones?
Yeah, I think Tyler Goodson. I think he's at the moment he's my RB3. For me, if I was going 4, I would say that probably Cash Jones is in there ahead of. I mean, we're big fans of Nate Carter, but I think I'm looking at Cash Jones. Just going back a wee bit to where we're saying about the O-line as well, and Dino was mentioning that I think we're now starting, and again, I got to say, I can't remember watching a pre-season game with a backup O-line playing so well for the Atlanta Falcons. And I think we're starting to see the impact of Bill Callahan. And if you, I mean, to be honest, I was looking at some of the players and going, who's this guy? I don't know. I mean, I was literally struggling with some of these names. I couldn't remember any of these guys. So, I mean, that shows the benefit. Now, again, another way to look at it as well is, if this is what you can do with a backup O-line, with your 3rd, 4th and 5th string running backs, imagine what you're going to be able to do with your 1st string O-line and Bijan Robinson and Brian Robson having a go. That's exciting, because no disrespect to Cash Jones. Cash Jones is an undrafted free agent. We all knew about him from Georgia. I mean, we seen what he could do there, but he's an undrafted free agent for a reason. You know what I mean? And for us to be in a position, and I know it's the 2nd and the 3rds of the Indianapolis Colts, but if that's what we're doing with backups and playing a game like that, then that's really exciting for when we actually see the ones come out. And that's all on Bill Callahan and how he's got this O-line playing.
I agree with that 100% as well, Des, and I feel like if I could I don't like to single them out because they played so well as a unit, but if there is one name on that offensive line I would say made the biggest leap, it would be Ethan Onianwa at right tackle, the 7th rounder at Ohio State. I feel like he's really made big steps with Coach Callahan in this scheme. He's really shored us up, protected Jack Strand and Cooper Rush well last night. Will he start? I think he's shown that he's capable of maybe being in that conversation until Juwan Taylor returns. But as I say, I just want a guy who's serviceable enough in there. And then given the fact that he is quite versatile as well, so he has got some flexibility at guard. If the worst should occur and we are looking at injuries down the stretch. But again, that's the advantage of having a nice late bye week as well, week 11 this year. So it gives us a nice long run to kind of gauge where we are, who we're going to have down the stretch when the important games come to fruition as well. Because I mean, I was just looking at the schedule last night again, and we close it again with 3 divisionals back to back to back. So it's a fun way to end the season, and in some ways maybe not so fun. And before we continue, just a shout out to the First Lady of AFN herself, She's always in the building to represent. So a tip of the cap to Maggie T. And I know that you have a lot coming up stateside. You've got some big events and that coming down in coming down the pipeline as well. Just given the recent relationship that you started with KB Sports Media and 100.9 The Blaze as well. So if you want to check that out, then go check out the AFN stateside pages, or of course Maggie T Productions as well. She'll give you all the information, tell you what you need to know. But yeah, let's keep the conversation rolling, guys. So as I say, this was more of a kind of general chat than anything else. We singled out the running back position, so to speak, a little bit. But just in terms of this roster, as we say, it's going to be a lot more difficult to kind of make those choices. But I mean, a lot of people were saying that the defense stepped up a lot, which is certainly true, given the fact that by my count that was a 48-point swing that we achieved from game 1 to game 2. So obviously it's self-evident that the defense played well. But I do have some questions therein as to who your starting linebackers are going to be. How much depth do you retain on the defensive line when you're still looking at guys down the depth chart like Deshaun Hand, and obviously we just got Tua Pelotu from the Chiefs as well. So we've got a lot of depth there. You add in the fact that Zach Harrison's now clear to play. Brandon Dorlus is still chomping at the bit as well. So it's going to be testy getting this down to 53 for me. It's definitely something that if you want, you can drop some red and blacks, and we will do our best attempt for you. That's all we can promise you, because I mean, that's where democracy comes into play as well, fellas. So we might end up having to don the boxing gloves for that one. But yeah, I mean, who's some of the guys that you think are some of the unsung heroes? We'll start with you, Dino, this time, and then we'll come back to you, brother Des. About who you think maybe some of the guys that should be looked at who maybe aren't getting as fair a shake as they should be, because the one for me that I would throw in, and he keeps coming up no matter how much we try to get rid of him, and that would be Chris Blair, because I feel like he's still out there showing that he wants to be here, and I mean, if he keeps showing out like that, then I'm happy to keep him. But Dean, who would be your guys if you had a couple?
I think in terms of running backs, I'd go with Goodson as well. I would go with it. I'll go with Woodson. I think. I'm looking at numbers now for them. I mean, they all had a pretty good game, but I would probably go with Woodson. In terms of everybody else, I mean, I want to see if there's anyone I want to see a wide receiver wise. There's a couple. There's a good couple.
I mean,
like, there's a good couple I'd like to see. I mean, Cash Jones. I mean, I don't know. Like you say, he was undrafted for a reason, so I'm not sure with him. But again, he can step up. I mean, I'm looking at all the stats now, and I just think there are players there who I would love to see more of. In terms of wide receiver, I saw Vinny Anthony.
yeah, he played well.
Yeah, I'd love to see a bit more of him as well. That's someone that stuck out for me mainly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but I think, again, because he's effective as a returner and things like that as well, I think you could do worse than having a wide receiver room of Drake, obviously Dotson, Branch, Zacchaeus, Chris Blair, and round it out with obviously the guy I've just mentioned to you. So I mean, that would be a solid wide receiver room to me. We're closing that out with Vinny Anthony as well. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that I think are camp bodies. I mentioned the tight end position as well, in terms of like Muse and things like that being purely camp bodies. On you go, Des. My apologies.
What I would say is that one of the standouts for me, and again, I remember at the start of last season, we had a conversation about whether this guy would actually make the roster, and that's Clark Phillips III. He had a great game at the weekend. I thought he was really played well, and again, that's the kind of guy that effectively the ones I'm looking out for is I'm looking out for the ones that have not been drafted by this current management group and this current Ian Cunningham. So these are the guys that are effectively that they're going to be easy cuts because they weren't brought in by the current guys.
Yeah.
And Clark Phillips is one of the guys. Your Chris Blair's and everything. Yeah, Chris Blair had a good couple of moments at the weekend, but again, I think he's reached his ceiling. I think he's only ever going to be practice squad now and again, couple of games, injury issues, bring him in. I don't think there's that much potential there that he can be effectively a wide receiver 3. Not at the moment. But again, Vinny Anthony was again he was a standout at the weekend. He looked really good. But again, I'll say again, the biggest positive is that the people that we're talking about, and again, I know Dino mentioned Cash Jones. People we're talking about are effectively undrafted free agents or late draft picks. Kendo Daniels, Cash Jones, Jack Strand. You know what I mean? Players that I mean Tyler Goodson. I mean, effectively, I think he's a vet minimum contract. So again, what I would say is the speed that he had for that touchdown was unbelievable, getting away for that player when the guy went to tackle him. You know what I mean? So again, there's a lot of speed there. So, but again, the one thing I will say is that I've got confidence with this organisation and the people in place that they're going to pick the right 53. What I will say is I guarantee that the players that play, that there will be players that played in that game at the weekend that the other teams will be watching, and if we do cut them, they'll be snapped up.
Yeah.
What I would say is probably the biggest decision that this organisation is going to have to make is quarterback and what they're going to do with the 4 quarterbacks, because effectively, if you put Jack Strand to the practice squad, he's not staying there. Somebody's going to snap him up. So
Yep, that's going to be a Nick Nash all over again, and I still regret that. We've had this conversation, Des, many times, and I don't want to get bitten by that dog again.
So you're at a point where you cannot put Jack Strand to quarterback to practice squad, but then you have to look at the fact that your 2 main quarterbacks are injury prone. So again, you're not going to put Cooper Rush to the practice squad. So you're going to be a position where you might actually have to have 4 quarterbacks in this roster. You know what I mean? Probably, I would say out of all of them, Cooper Rush would be the one that you could probably put to the practice squad, and he might stay there because nobody was kicking the door down to sign him at the start of this season. You know what I mean? But again, that's one of the big decisions. But again, what I would say is if you put Cash Jones onto the practice squad, I don't think he's going to stay there either. And I don't think it's down to how he's played. I think it's just the Georgia. It's the fact that he's got Georgia in his blood. And if somebody's going to pick a player and try and bring them in and develop them, then they're going to do it with a Georgia player. So there's going to be a lot of head scratching in this organisation. But when you look at where we've been in the last 3 or 4 years, I want to be in a position where we're sitting looking at the cuts and going, my God, how did they cut him? Why did they cut him? He was amazing. Yeah, well, that means that the guy that they've cut him for, that they're not cutting, is going to be exceptional. So that's where we need to be. We had this conversation last year and the year before that there's players were in our main 53 that some teams wouldn't even have on the practice squad. You know what I mean? So we need to get to that point where our practice squad is strong.
Yeah, and that was what was so good, Des, when they said the words that we were all longing to hear and raised the floor. Because I wanted, as you said, to get to a stage where no matter who we are cutting, I'm like, that's a painful one to lose. That's a painful
Mm.
one to lose. That's a painful one to lose. Because there's a lot of teams that are stacked up like that. We saw that when we went up against the twos and threes of Denver, and we were not ready. So I mean, there's something to be said for shoring up on depth, and that's why again, although it's only a 1 year solution, we go back to the start of the show and we talk about how good it is to at this point in the off season be bringing in someone like as a Darius Smith, to obviously shore things up. So again, to kind of go back to one of the caveats and main sort of talking points of the show, I mean, Ian Cunningham has earned our trust with what he's done so far. And as you say, there's with guys like Tyler Goodson, and then even the undrafted free agent class, because we're talking about guys even on the offensive line like James Brockermeyer who can step in and essentially be a makeshift starter tomorrow, and things of that nature. So, I mean, they set out to raise the floor, and I feel like they've done a great job in that throughout the squad. And now it's really time to start whittling it down and finding out right who's really ready to play against Pittsburgh when the time comes. So it's really exciting to kind of think about and dwindle down, and that's something we can maybe look at doing next week as well. But before we obviously start thinking about cutting down the roster, we need to think about the game on Saturday. Because as I say, we'll be closing out the season on the road in Florida against the Miami Dolphins. So a bit of a homecoming game for Tua now. So he's going to want to get some game time in which that he can hopefully perform and show that he's not quite as skittish as Des said a little bit earlier on in the show, and that he's got some dog left in him. So hopefully that's something we can see. But let's talk a little bit about the game coming up at the weekend. And Dean, seeing as I've got you thrusting it in my face with some disdain, I'm thinking you've got some things you want to say about Saturday's game. So the floor is yours, sir. What have you got to say about the game upcoming?
One of my good friend who's in our group, I don't know if I'm going to send it. I don't think he's watching it now, but he's a big Dolphins fan. He does some work with the Finns. I'll send him this when we're done. He when I think if I remember him correctly, he was all but lost when it came to a leaving. When they cut him, I think Miami at the moment, from what I understand, they're going through a bit of a. I think they're going through a bit of rebuild there, so I don't think there's much expectation with what's going on with them. So I'm not too sure, but I know they're going through a bit of a tough time in the month from what I'm hearing. So it could be an opportunity again to show what we've got again in terms of our depth. Which like you guys have just eloquently just said, because over the last few years we've had players come in and I can play that the other way, where we've had starters in the team, and I'm thinking, how are you starting? Like there's been certain players who I think have come into the franchise and just said, I'm not cut for this. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm gone. Calvin Ridley speaks to mind for that one. I don't care what anyone says. I think to this day he just made any sort of excuse to get out of there. That's my personal opinion. Like you can use the whole thing of I'm not gonna mental awareness and everything like that, and the whole thing with with the gambling. But I just personally feel that he must have thought that he could be the guy at the time when he wasn't. And I think because of that, I think he just probably just said, you know what, I don't want to be here no more. And I think that's when the diva starts coming out of certain players. But then he moves on,
Yeah.
and he still doesn't cut it. And I don't even know where he is now. So
Last strike Jacksonville, but I don't
Tennessee.
know if they
yeah,
got
Tennessee. See, look where he is now. so,
Yeah,
so
and again, Dino, I think
arguably the only division in football worse than ours would be the AFC South. So if you can downgrade, you just did. But with that being said,
again,
I feel like a lot of that was the Julio situation too, because he was Julio's boy. But let that kind of fall where it is. I mean, I'm a Julio guy too, but it's where leaks become leaks in my team. I want 53 men competing as a team of 53 men we're all brothers together. I don't want this little cliques and narratives responding that this group don't talk to this group. To be as polite as I can and give you my best Scottish word of the night. Enough of that pish. We know what we want to be, and as we've said, as a coaching staff, as a team, raise the floor, bring back that notion of brotherhood. If you want to bring back brotherhood and throw Rise Up out the window, like, brotherhood would be the one that I would stick with. And obviously that's another reason why I'm so glad to see that from the top down, Matt Ryan bringing in guys like Roddy White, Todd McClure, and guys like this. Obviously, what we are doing, keep the chain of command, keep all that good stuff in place, and obviously give these guys a first-hand look and conversation with these guys who've been doing it for years at a high level and have really earned like their places within the Falcons Ring of Honor. So a lot of good things to obviously to say about this team, this organisation in the interim period. And as I say, it makes it more exciting to do these shows going forward with you boys, because as I say, we're still at the point in the season where we're kind of speculating a little bit and attempting to accumulate, but no, it's been fun to obviously get a few things talked about tonight as it pertains to the games that have gone, to the games that are coming up as well. Because as I say, I'll flash it up on screen for you boys and for everyone watching tonight. Here is the Falcons 2026 schedule. So as we say, a tough start, starting with Pittsburgh, Carolina, Green Bay, New Orleans, and then Baltimore. It does, well, I would say it does chill out a little bit, but I wouldn't say that it does, because you then have Chicago, San Francisco, which I'm sure will be a wonderful night in Dino's abode. I know your other half is a 49ers fan. Then we've got Tampa Bay, then the big down in Madrid with Cincinnati, and then out to Kansas City before the bye. It does ease off a little bit once we come out of the bye, but then, as I say, you do then look at teams like Minnesota, Detroit, and then finishing off with 3 back-to-back divisionals as well. So don't be asking us just yet to be dropping any kind of predictions or anything like that, because we're just trying to get on with what we've got to get on with right now. So no predictions just yet, but do keep an eye on the channel for next week, because I know that Dino and I have been chomping at the bit to get one out where we kind of break down where we think everyone's going to be divisionally, where the records are going to fall, who we think the playoff teams are going to be, and all that good stuff. So Des, if you want to jump in on that, I know you're not the biggest lover of predictions, but you're always welcome to join us for that too, to kind of break things down as well. Otherwise it'll just be the north-south connection that'll be bringing that to you. But as I say, that's just one of many things that you've got to look forward to. So what I'll do is I'll pass it around to the boys as well to give you a little bit about what's to come before we close out. We do have one more special shout out that we want to do, but I'll let the guys give you their kind of their kind of breakdown of what they've got in the pipeline. So Dino, I know you are talking about being kind of hard pressed by the Premier League kicking off both north and south of the border. So let the guys know, what have you got coming up in the next sort of week, 10 days?
Yeah, so I'm just going to be continuing with my weekly predictions on match days coming up. We've got some more with the Premier League with match day two coming this weekend. If memory serves me correctly, it is Crystal Palace versus Manchester City on Friday, and then the rest of the games. And I know my boys are playing on a Monday against Aston Villa, so I'm going to be doing my predictions on the Thursday. Chelsea have just won, so that prediction I got wrong, because I said I was going to draw, but there you go. So I'm going to be doing that Premier League wise, and I will also be doing it, as you just touched on. I've got my cards here. I've got the mini helmets. So we're going to just do a little bit of fun and games with the predictions, the mini helmets. My cards. I've got a whole load of helmets and everything. So with props, where we can do our predictions, and then hopefully we can get some people to come in and then do theirs, and we can switch them around and see how they all look, and then go forward from there. So that's what I've got going forward in regards to with football and with NFL in the next couple of weeks. Also, I have been speaking with a guy who I know very well at the Hippodrome Casino. For those that know the Hippodrome Casino, they show the NFL games every Sunday during the regular season. and they do the Super Bowl as well. But I spoke to the guy who said that whilst I can't do the regular season thing where I can interact with fans, I can do it during the international games. So I'm going to be working on doing something with the international games. I am still scheduled to be going to Madrid, but for the other international games, I will be looking to go up to the Hippodrome to interact with the fans and do what I've got to do there. I am a regular at the Hippodrome. I've been going there for the past 10, 12 seasons, and there's many others that go there as well. So I'll be looking to do things with them as well. There's quite a few groups that go from other teams. There's the Jets team. The Jets, they do have a podcast. I need to try and I can't remember what it is. There is a big group, big following of the Cleveland Browns because Cleveland do have a hospital down here, and the majority of them are from Cleveland. Um, there are a good number of Dolphin fans down here, a few Giants fans, but there's a mix of different fans down here when we come to watch the game. So I will be trying to catch up with various people. My group is a mix. We've got a Detroit fan there. We've got Patriot fans in there. We've got a couple more of our fellow Falcon fans in there as well as a Panthers fan in there. We've got a Houston fan in there. So there's a mix of everybody in our group. So I'm going to be looking to see what everyone says, what they think their team's going to do this season, how they're going to go. So hopefully I can get some more interactions with everybody, and then I can load up with you guys, and then see what they think about going forward.
Yeah, man, that sounds lit because I know it's something that Des and I kind of put in place as a bit of a pipeline. But we would love to start doing Scottish Falcons and Friends or AFNI, call it you will, get-togethers. I know. Shout out to the boys down south, and we'll obviously do a proper shout out in just a little bit. But they were a big sort of hand in inspiration and sort of getting the push to make this conglomerate as big and as kind of international as it is as well, because we knew that there were a big support crew down south, obviously, of Falcons fans as well, and not just down south, boys, because we've also got the Irish brethren in the house too with Lloyd Donnelly. So thank you for spending some time. And as I say, if you do choose to watch this back, then we've been on you for a minute. If you want to keep the British connection going and you want to add a little bit of Irish blood in there, we'd be happy to have you. But with that being said, as I say, from my end, what to expect is kind of the stuff I've been teasing for a while. So we've got the British connection growing. We want to bring you the first pretty soon of the Falcons All UK Super Shows, which will include all of the boys here with me, as well as the four guys from the ATL Falcons UK. Possibly, as I say, we have a 10 person maximum, so there is always room for a few more UK guests if it does go that way. But we do have that coming up, as well as the expansion into Mexico. So if we and the Latin region in earnest as well. So if any of our hermanos or hermanas latinas are watching us tonight, then hola, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenidos, and we will hopefully get to talk to you guys very, very soon as well. But before we start, obviously, closing things out for the night, one thing I would want to throw in just as a wee special aside to tonight's show, and I know you guys, a lot of you all would have seen it on the social media as well, but here is the Falcons media message that has gone out to some of the fans, some of the creators around the globe, as it turns out. Just obviously thanking us for our Falcons fandom, letting us know that we are invited cordially to the Benz for the Bears game on October 18th. Sadly, and I will shake my fist just a little bit on this one, we haven't got the invite yet. But as I say, we want to take the opportunity here to congratulate everyone who did get the invite. We know the work that you all do. It's great work. It's very much appreciated because, as I say, it makes our job in turn a little bit easier, and obviously allows us to share the platform back with you, and always show the love back to the A as well. So as I say, it's definitely something to aspire to, boys, and I'll let you guys have your say on it as well. But I mean, for myself, and as I say, I think it's a great opportunity, and I think that it's wonderful that the Falcons are offering up a suite to really give back to the fans, give back to the creators who give up so much of our time and our passion to make these shows, to bring this content to you, the other Falcons fans who obviously show so much love. and rep the team so hard. So, Des, if you've got anything you want to say about that, then the floor's yours.
Yeah, I mean some great names in there. I've seen a few. I've seen another report that I think a pitch line effectively studio where they're all going to be is like 40 or $50,000 a game.
Yeah.
So that's where they're going to be. So listen, fair play to them. Um, we, I would say we don't do it for the glory, we do it for the love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, I would be expecting Atlanta Falcons to throw in return flights to Glasgow. So
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure they're not in for doing anything like that. You know what I mean? So
No, I think we might
um,
need to move one or 2,000 more wee extra Falcons jerseys before they would
aye,
extend that. But
I
no,
think so, mate.
nevertheless, even if it's out of our own pocket, like Des and I have been saying it for a few years, and I'm sure we can speak for Dino in this one as well. Like, if there's one piece of advice we can give to fellow Falcons fans, it's when you get in that Benz, make sure you get in there in enough time to where you don't have to leave your seat for the game. Because if we're going to
Yes.
make the thousands of miles round trip, we are not leaving, as our sister Karina and shout out to the Lazy Birds would say, or anyone for that matter for the Rise Up Tour fan club. The guys do great work, and they'll tell you you don't leave until the clocks read all zeros. And see, if you lose, there's a lovely wee bit of the stadium set aside for you to go and have a cry with the rest of the guys. It's all in place for you, so there should be no excuse not to get out there and rep our Dirty Birds this season, because I know that the three of us, we certainly will. And as I say, we've got a lot of big shows coming up, not just in terms of Falcons content, but also we're going to get into some Braves as well. As you see, I've
Yeah.
got the Tomahawks on for the first time tonight, and Des is rocking his nice Intercity,
City Connect jersey, mate. City Connect.
City.
Although,
I'm still
although
on the defence.
honestly, I've got to say the Braves are up and down like a bad roller coaster at the moment, mate. To be honest, so you just don't know what to make him. You know what I mean? So it's it's we can go 10, 12 games unbeaten and then literally lose a couple of series. You know what I mean? So they just
The up and down tops and survey world of Atlanta sports.
I was just
We
going to say,
truly
to
do
be
love
fair,
it.
that's Atlanta all over anyway. So just expect the unexpected with Atlanta. Now
listen,
that's what
Dino.
I've done. Now.
What happens is, see if Atlanta Falcons.
You being
So
a United fan as well, it's even worse for you. Sorry, Des.
yeah, so we've had a good Atlanta Falcons has a good preseason game and we won it, right? What does that mean? That means Atlanta Braves is going to have a bad week. We can't have good things. We can't have everything. You know what I mean? When Atlanta wins, Braves are bad. When the Braves and the Atlanta Falcons are great, the Hawks are bad. You know what I mean? It's literally it's like it's you just can't have we can't have nice things. You know
You
what I mean?
can't.
Well, if it's not nice,
Even Atlanta United
someone
as
needs
well.
to
They
take
the
that
same
as
thing,
well.
mate.
But Dino,
I
that's
want
how
to
I
say the
stuck.
categorically.
Dino, that's how I stuck with the two teams. I couldn't support four teams, so I've left the baseball. I've left the basketball and the soccer out here because my heart can only take the Braves and the Falcons at the moment.
Yeah, it's a lot to take,
Well,
man.
that's perfectly
It's a
fair
lot
enough.
to
Like,
take.
I mean, you know our closing line, and the more you inflict upon yourself, the worse it gets. And speaking of inflicting it upon yourself, I'm going to draw the ire of the Georgia fans, because tomorrow I've got a nice double header when we're talking about showing our content versatility, ladies and gentlemen. Catch me on the Mr. White Network tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're talking some wrestling for the Raw review with Sam and the OG Sam, and then also the young freshman as well. In addition to that, I'll also be making my debut on the Voice of College Football Texas with Matthew. So we're going to hook them horns tomorrow and get into some burnt orange talk. And I think it's time to offer up the floor because we got our sister from another mister in the house. What's up, Maggie? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how you doing? I got to get my accent together and not sound so, United States and Southern.
She wants to sound eloquent. That's
I
what she.
want to sound very eloquent, right.
If you want to sound
I
eloquent,
want my
go for
crumpets to
Scottish.
sound
Go for
delicious, not croissants. Uh, but no, I wanted to get on because it's been a busy, busy week for me. Actually, I'm going to, like you mentioned, the radio station here in the States, 100.9 The Blaze. I'm actually getting ready to be on the way to the studio, so we can get some practice in, and I will definitely announce when that comes, so you guys will have the link so you can listen to me on Sundays. It's afternoon your time, right before the Falcons game. So it's like it's called the Maggie T Kickoff. So it's right before the team plays. But I just wanted to say hello to you. What's your name? Demo?
Dino.
Okay. I'm blind over here, so I have to. It's all like this. It's like, let me look up close. But I wanted to say hello to you. I haven't had a chance to properly just say hey and thank you for being a part of this international wing, as we are definitely trying to expand. But if it's just this country and that's it, hey, as Will can tell you, I do have some blood in my system where I do. We're actually brother and sister.
Hey,
You know,
hey.
so I can actually relate more to you guys than you realize. So, but I'm excited about this season. I know we got one more game before preseason, and we might get a Penix sighting. This quarterback situation, I am sick of talking about it, but we have to because we still damn know what's happening. But hey, it is what it is. But I just wanted to say, everybody, hey, Shell, that's my twin over there. It's my twin sister. More and more quarterback story to see who's going to start in the end. It's probably going to be, I just feel, since now he's been cleared for 11-on-11s, we're going to see a lot more at Penix. That's just my opinion. But they haven't announced the starter. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see when they start cutting down that roster. And like he was saying, Des, that it could possibly be 4 on the squad where one goes to practice. But I can say Strand is trying to get a job somewhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and hopefully here, because he has got a lot of qualities, Maggie. I got to say, he looked amazing out there. So
Like,
I would rather be. Yeah, I would rather have him on our team than on anybody else's team. You know what I mean? He could be the one that got away. You know what I mean? So the Brett Favre in history. You know what I mean? When we traded him. So but I mean, what I would say is that if that's the way your 4th quarterback is playing, as I said earlier, Maggie. If this is the way our 3rd, 4th, and 5th running back with the O-line is playing and the backup O-line is playing, and we're a number 4 quarterback, then that looks good for the organisation. It looks as if the organisation is organised, and that's exciting for me. All I want to see, I mean, we looked at the schedule. The schedule looks brutal. It really does. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to be quite serious this year. But
I'm not worried about the Panthers. I think we were just off our game, so it was more of we dropped the ball for that game that I am concerned about the Panthers. I just know that we need to go out there and kick some ass, like they're so deserved.
all I want to see this year,
we don't have to worry about the passing as much as we thought either, the passing attack, because Ted McMillan's out for the year, which is good news. No, sorry, Chris Brazil's out for the year, who they brought in to obviously pair with Ted McMillan. So their passing attack's not going to be as potent as what we thought, and we are shoring up and bringing on Avian Terrell as well, and then Mike Hughes playing well as well. So I don't think Carolina's going to be as worrying as we maybe thought they would be. And shout out as well to Shell as well, where we've got it. We were talking a little bit about getting into the world of the Braves as well. So if you want some good Braves content and you want to be checking out House of the Chop, So I will offer the floor back to my sister from another mister, and let Maggie tell you some of what she's got coming up, because I know you've got events out of the wazoo right now, Miss Lady. So if you'd like to tell
Yes.
them,
So I'm back in my event planning game, where I like to bring people together that likes to play games and things like that. So I do have adult game nights on Thursday night. That is at Cold Red here in Georgia, Decatur, Georgia, actually. And then Fridays I have karaoke and comedy. It's called Friday Night Vibes. So if you like comedy, you like to laugh and hear some drunk people singing terribly, that's the way to go. Other than that, we do have our huge black red and black event, and what I'm thinking about doing is maybe broadcast, because we're actually going to have Mahaley, excuse me. He's former fullback of the Falcons and NFL player. We're going to have a live interview with him with KB Sports Media, and I'm thinking about having it on here as well, so you can see that live as well as seeing all the fans, so you can kind of live through us. But we're gonna pack you in a suitcase, all three of you guys, so you can come to the States and party with us soon.
That'd be great.
or
I just renewed my visa yesterday. They got accepted, so that's cool. My Esther got cleared, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Come over, we will. So like let that warning be in the wind as well. So especially if we make postseason this year, like we will start swimming. Be warned. But no, as I say, like thank you, Maggie, from all of us, because obviously you gave us the trust, the love to obviously let us run with this as well. So just
Okay.
obviously in closing, we'd like to obviously offer the promise back to you that we offer to the fans, that it's a big season coming. Hopefully from our Falcons, and certainly from us here at AFNI as well. So guys down in the chat, thank you all so much for your support. And as I say, Maggie and I wanted to obviously keep growing this thing, not just from America, not just from the UK, but all around the world. So I'm going to do a little bit more self-promotion just before we close it out. I'm not always the best on that, but it needs to be done. So with the 2026 season now loading, shout out to the Fall River Falcons as well for this image, because I did think it was pretty lit and serves the purposes that we want. So all the best for the 2026 season to those guys as well. But here at AFN/AFNI, we pride ourselves in being the voice of all Atlanta Falcons fans, Clydeside, stateside and worldwide. So if you want to join the four of us and earn your kilt as the international revolution continues, then you know what to do. Get at any of the four of us on the panel on the socials, or alternatively we have the big group chat, which Maggie T can give you the identification name for on Facebook as well, because there's almost 20k of us now at this point. So if you want to get in touch with us and join the Frequent Flyers family for season 2 and beyond, then you know what to do. So Maggie, what was the name of that group? It's the Atlanta Falcons Nation, Georgia Sports Nation, and some other things like that, isn't it? Just remind the people for me.
You talking about the main Facebook group?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Atlanta Falcons Nation and Die Hard Fanatics. So it's for the Falcons, but it's for also because people want to talk about the Braves, the Hawks. So it's kind of the overall Atlanta teams group now, because it gets a little dead when there's no football season and everybody in their feelings about stuff. So I just incorporated other sports in that group. But it's if you search for it, it's Atlanta Falcons Nation. You can't miss it. And I'm the administrative, so if you just look for me, if it don't look like me, then it's not me.
Well, we're fortunate enough that there is only one of you out here. You're doing the work for many, but there is only one. There can be only one, as Highlander would say. But yeah, as we say, just watch House of the Chop on Thursdays. That will be, I think, 6 p.m. Eastern, so a little bit after we finish. So that's your Thursdays all taken care of now. You get some football and some baseball, ladies and gentlemen. And as we've said to Shell, if she's looking for guests, you got 3 ATL Bravehearts right here. So we are more than willing to jump in and chat some baseball sometime as well. But as I say, a special thank you to everyone who's taken the time to spend it with us. As I say, we did promise that we'd bring you as many watch parties as possible this season, tech notwithstanding. So with that being said, we will be back on Saturday. It's Saturday evening, isn't it, boys? For
I'm
Miami?
just checking
I
to
believe
see
it is
the
Saturday,
times.
isn't it?
Um,
7, 7 p.m. So it's gonna be what, midnight for us?
Okay.
yeah,
So until then,
midnight
so
for
it will
us.
be a late
So
one.
Yeah,
yeah, midnight.
yeah.
The joys of being a UK fan. Too many UK starts, but just wait till the Madrid game. We can all laugh at the guys in America because we only get to do it once a season, so we'll make the most of it.
The flag is coming with me. Don't worry. It's coming. I'll be
Yeah.
conquering Spain with that thing there, mate.
I
Well, we
hope
need to get.
we got to make it happen. We got to do a fundraiser or something to get you guys some plane tickets, get your passport, so you can come on over here and so we can all watch a game together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maggie,
So good. I cannot wait.
I'm that busy. I've not took a hold of this year, so we're literally into the nearly the end of August, and I'm still doing 7 days a week. So, yeah.
And still
That
finding 2-3
when
nights
you've got
for us
your
as
own
well.
business,
So
that's what happens. When you've got your own
Yeah,
business, that's what
Yeah,
happens.
there's no break. Like as me, as far as doing all this, what Will was saying, it's like I don't have any off days. I
Yeah,
really
mm,
don't. I'm
yeah,
actually got to get
that's
off
the
of
thing.
here, study my notes, and go on to the radio station.
yeah,
It's nonstop.
yeah.
yeah.
All the same, we really appreciate that, especially with that being said, because you don't get as much time. So I try to check in with you as much as I can on the socials and all that good stuff. But no, as I say, just keep letting the stateside guys know we are here too. So as I say, to anyone who's wanting to join the shows stateside, just know that if you're joining AFN, that is also joining AFNI. So you do open yourself up to join these shows with myself and Des and Dean as well, going forward. But Maggie, we'll give you your evening back as you are so busy. We'll give you guys in the chat your evening back as well, and we'll let the Dynamo get to his bed
Get
as
to my
well
bed.
because we've
I'm
kept you
shattered.
entertained for the last hour and a half, and we can bounce back to this good stuff on Thursday. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, just remember that Des, Dino, and I, as a power trio, we love our AFN, we love our ATL, and before we wish you good night, Dirty Birds, remember, as always, that pain is international, but so is passion. Sadly, so is tiredness. So it's time to go for now.
Absolutely.
But you all have to.
It's only Monday. It's only Monday.
Boys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.